Hi yarny friends, it's Dawn from Ninja Bunny Crochet. Welcome to the Yarn Studio. This is episode 2 of my Yarn and Crochet podcast. So today I want to talk to you about hand-dyed yarn. So I do hand-dyed yarn. I've been dyeing for about 6 to 8 months now, and it's a lot of fun. I'll admit to that. I really like doing it. But what I'm wondering from all of you, I want to ask you a question. What weight yarn would you like to buy when it comes, or like to work with, when it comes to hand-dyed yarn? Do you like the fingering weight yarn? Do you like DK weight? Do you like worsted weight? Do you like bulky weight? What is the weight that you like to buy when you buy your hand-dyed yarn? So I'm going to first, that's question number 1. And I'm going to show you some of the yarns that I've hand dyed and tell you what the weight is. And the most of what I have is superwash merino. I do have one base that's 20% baby alpaca and 80% superwash merino in a worsted weight. And I'll show you some of those too. I'm not going to show you all the yarn I have because honestly I've got about 70-80 skeins of yarn, and they're in all different kinds of colors. So I'll show you kind of a sampling of what the yarn I have that I've hand dyed. And then I'm really curious to know, what weight do you like best to crochet with when it comes to hand dyed yarn? And another question I had is, do you have a preferred like base? Do you like superwash merino? Do you like non-superwash wool? Do you like alpaca? What fiber content do you like when it comes to hand-dyed yarn? So those are a couple of questions. If you could just drop me a comment down in the comment section below and let me know. So let's jump into some of these yarns that I have dyed that I want to show you today. So first off, I have, this is a DK weight. It's 246 yards, 225 meters, 3.5 ounces or 100 grams, and it's a 4-ply, 100% superwash, fine superwash merino wool. This colorway I call Twilight. It's purples and blue, mainly just purples and blue, but it's a really, really super rich, pretty color. So I wanted to see if I can get this in the camera. If you can see the different, all the different colors, the blues and the purples. It just, to me, it just reminded me of like the sky at like twilight on a nice summer day. So that's why I called this Twilight. And again, this is a DK weight yarn. So then another colorway I wanted to show you. This one is called Jungle. Again, super fine superwash, 100% fine superwash merino, all the same details. And this has got greens and yellow and brown and all the kind of colors you would see in the jungle. So it's a really super, super pretty yarn. And these are so, so soft. I really love these bases. I get my bases from Nomad Yarns. And I'll put a link in the description box below to Nomad Yarn. So if you want to check it out and see if you might want to get into dyeing your own yarn. And I get my acid dyes from Dharma Trading Company. I use Dharma acid dyes. I also have some Jacquard acid dyes too, which you can get from Dharma. So you can go check that out. I'll put a link in the description box below to that too. And so you can check that out as well. And let's see, here's a solid. This is, I don't really, they're not really solid. They're more of a semi-solid because there are some light there's some, it goes lights and darks and stuff, and it's, but this one I call Light Orchid. It's this light purple. So this one I did what you call a kettle dye. You fill up your dye pot, and you have to use dedicated dyeing equipment. You can, once you use a pot or a pan or anything for acid dyeing yarn, you cannot use it for cooking anymore. Cannot be used for food. So you fill up your dye pot with your water, and then you put your dye stock in it, which I mean, if you really want to, if you want me to go over it, I can show you, I can do some videos on dyeing yarn too. You just have to let me know that you're interested in that, and I can make some videos on how I dye my yarn. And then you put your yarn in, I put my yarn in when the water is cold, and then I heat it up because I don't want to felt the yarn. It's usually when you use superwash yarn, you have less of a chance of felting your yarn. I've not tried to dye non-superwash wool yet. I do have some to try, but I haven't done it yet. So, and that's how you get a color like this, which is more of a semi-solid or a solid. You do it that way. And then I have this colorway, which is a darker purple, and you can see the lights and darks in the purple. I call this one Valiant. So that's really a nice pretty purple. And here is one called Smoke. And I thought it looked really cool because it looks like this, like if you ever see smoke up in the sky, or I thought it looked really pretty. So that's some of my DK weight. Now I'm going to switch my box around here, and I'm going to get some of the other weight yarns that I have so I can show you some of the other weights that I have too. So let me just move this box over here without bunking my little Shih Tzu. He's laying down here. In fact, here, let me get him up here. Come here, TT. Oh. So this is my little Shih Tzu. He's going to be 15 next month. Isn't he cute? This is TJ. He's the little guy that models all of my dog clothes. So, yeah, all my dog patterns. Isn't he adorable? Say hi, TT. So, this is TJ. I guess he's my little buddy. Out of all my animals, he's the one who can come in the yarn room because Shih Tzus don't shed. They have to get clipped. So, he's able to come in the yarn room and hang out with me in the yarn studio. But all the other animals aren't allowed in the yarn studio. So, I do have two other dogs. I have a lab mix and a pit bull. They don't come in the yarn studio because they shed. And the cat doesn't come in the yarn studio either. Though he really doesn't mess with my yarn, but he sheds, so I don't let him come in the yarn studio. So, this is the one that is the 20% baby alpaca and 80% fine superwash merino. This colorway I call Desert Sands. And if you notice the twist on this yarn, this has got a fabulous twist. I love this yarn so much. This base is so cool. You can see it a little bit better on that end of on the end of the hang. So this yarn is so much fun to crochet with. I really like this base. And I do have some other colorways I did with this yarn. Again, this is the length. I didn't tell you the length. This is 191 yards, 175 meters, 3.5 ounces, 100 grams, and this is a worsted weight or Aran weight yarn. And this one is called Cardinal. So it just, when I dyed this one, I just looked at it and I said, oh my gosh, that looks just like a bird, like a cardinal. So a lot of times when I dye my yarns, I don't name them until after they dry, and I look at them and then I come up with a name. So, and if any one of these yarns kind of strike your fancy on the color, let me know that, because I'm trying to just develop a certain line of colorways. So if one of these strike you, say, oh, that's super pretty, let me know too in the description box, the comments, so that I can make sure I can keep that colorway going, so I can make more of those, so that that would be ones that I'll put up on the Etsy shop or something, because not all these are on the Etsy shop. Some of them are and some of them aren't, because I would hate to have someone purchase a yarn on Etsy while I'm at a craft show and then I sell out of that colorway, and then I got to try to make more of that colorway so that I can send it out to the Etsy buyer, and it would not be fair to that Etsy buyer, because most of my yarns that are up on Etsy are I put ready to ship. So I would have to tell that buyer I sold out and now I have to make some. So now you've got to wait about 3 to 4 days or maybe more, depending on if I have any of that base still bare. And if I don't, then I've got to order some from Nomad Yarns and wait for it to come. Now, usually it only takes a couple of days, like maybe 3 or 4 days for me to get the yarn. But then I've got to dye the yarn. It takes, you know, a couple of hours to dye the yarn. Then it takes 2 to 3 days for it to dry. And then I got to hank it up and then, you know, wind it up into a hank like this. Because when you dye it, you unwind this into a big long circle. And then you got to dye it, and then you got to hang it up and let it dry. I do have a spin dryer, so it does cut down the time for it to dry, but usually it takes about 48 hours still for it to thoroughly dry, because I want to make sure that it's not damp at all when I hank it up like this, because if you hank it up and it's still damp, it'll mold. So you don't want that to happen. Okay, let's see. What other colorways do I have? Okay, this is in the same, the baby alpaca, the 20% baby alpaca and 80% superwash merino. This colorway is hot pink, obviously, because look at the color. So this is a really cool colorway too. I'm thinking this would make like a really super cute like hat and scarf set. And let me see, I got some other just plain superwash, not just plain, but superwash merino. Hang on 1 minute. I know I gotta like keep ducking down here out of the camera, but it's down here on the floor. Maybe I can just put it up here on the table so y'all can, so I don't have to keep ducking out of the camera view. Which, I mean, I find it's a little bit rude, but I mean, I'm sorry. I apologize to that. So let me try to put this up here. This is a big bin of yarn. So here, I think I got like below this yarn, I think is my fingering weight yarn. So I'm going to put some of these over on the lid over here so I can get down to the fingering weight yarn. So this is more sand. Oh, I don't think I showed you this one. This is called Jewel of the Nile because it was all these wonderful jewel tones. Look at that, this purple. Let me see if I can get it in the camera a little bit better. It's purple and blue and gray. I just thought it was so cool, the colors. It's hard with the ball bands on here, or the hank bands, but I need those on there when I sell them so that people have all of the particulars on the yarn. So let's put these over here. Showed you that color. I showed that color. More of this hot pink. This color. This looks similar to the smoke color in the other color, but this one is darker, so I called this one charcoal because it came out darker. It was on a different base. I used the same amount of dye stock and stuff, but because of the baby alpaca, it came out. It took up the dye differently, so this came out much darker. So I'm still learning stuff like that. Like if you use a different base, the yarn will take up the dye differently. So I'm still learning how to get my yarn, like the colorways to come out relatively the same. It's kind of hard because you'll never have the exact same color when you're doing hand dye yarn. But I would like to try to get my colors relatively the same. So if any of you out there dye yarn and you have like some formulas or something that you use to get your yarns to come out the same color, let me know. Because like I said, this is new to me and I'm still learning a lot about dyeing yarn. So this is another colorway that my husband Jim picked this color pattern out. We call this Fiesta. My tags keep coming off too. I gotta get new tags. So this has got orange and red and yellow, and it just like, we thought it just kind of looked like a southwestern kind of color. This is in fingering weight yarn. This is 75% superwash merino wool and 25% nylon. It's 337 yards, 400 meters, or 3.5 ounces, 100 grams. And it's a fingering weight 4-ply yarn. So I thought Yeah, it kind of does remind you of McDonald's too, but I thought it would look like some really super bright, cool socks. Or you could even make a shawl out of it, because fingering weight yarn, you can make shawls. And what is this one down here? That's worsted. Okay, so this one is spring green. Now this one is a fingering weight, but this is just 100% superwash merino. So just so you can, I don't know if you can really, you can't really see the difference, but you can feel the difference. This yarn is got, because of the nylon in it, it's not as soft as this one. This one's very, very soft. But it took up the color really well too. So this one is same yardage, 437 yards, 400 meters, 3.5 ounces, 100 grams. And this is a fingering weight sock 4-ply, but it's just 100% superwash merino. And it's super, super soft. So this would be probably more for making shawls or something, because you would probably want the nylon in it if you're going to make socks, just because it would be make it more durable. And let's see, oh, this one, this was a popular color on Etsy. This is my bubblegum pink, and it's pink with nice little speckles in it. So that was a pretty popular color. And this one is called Jewel, and this is just the superwash merino, but it's got all those jewel tones in it, which I thought was just absolutely beautiful. So, and I also have oh, this one's gorgeous too. I want to show you this one. This is another fingering weight yarn. This is called Bermuda. My sister named this one because she thought she thought this one was beautiful too. So that's called Bermuda. And then I got, this is 100% fine superwash merino. It's 219 yards, 200 meters, 3.5 ounces, 100 grams. And this is a worsted weight yarn. And it's a 4-ply. And this one is called Ocean. So we have, it's all different blues. There's some, like, there is some green in it too. So it looks like the ocean. Super, super soft. I love superwash merino. It's so soft. And then I have, this one is called Antique Ways. And it's got mauve and periwinkle blue and gray. Just super, super nice colors. So this is one of my favorite colors. And this was like the very first ball yarn I dyed, or hanky yarn I dyed. This is called Emeralds. Look at this color. Didn't this come out fabulous? So that was like one of my first yarns. It's a nice, beautiful green tonal, semi-solid. That's what it's called. It's called a semi-solid. So let me get just a couple more to show you, and then I'll be out of your hair, because like I could sit here and show you yarn all day long. So here's a couple more that I got that I thought were really, really cool colorways. This is called Unicorn Dreams, and it's got blue and pink and purple. You can tell the theme here. I really like purples. So there, that one's that one. And this is called Chocolate Dipped Strawberry, because it's got the red, these stickers are terrible, red and brown, and then it's got the green for the top of the strawberry. This one, when it was hanging up, looked just like a chocolate covered strawberry. It was so cool. So I mean, this one's really, really super cool. I love this colorway. So if there's like a particular colorway out of these that you like, that like struck your fancy, let me know. If there's a colorway that you didn't see that you thought would be really cool, let me know too, because I'm always open to doing new colorways and learning more about what people like. And definitely let me know what weight yarn as crocheters that you would like to do. I mean, not that I don't want to sell my yarn to knitters, because I do. I'm just kind of like leaning towards trying to tailor my yarn towards crocheters. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next podcast. Happy crocheting! Bye-bye!